Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel here on YouTube, Mia's podcast channel. I hope you guys liked the other video that I had made. This video is a little bit more different than I was going to plan on doing. This is going to be it's still episode 1. We're on lesson 2 already. If you haven't seen if you haven't seen lesson 1, then go watch it. It's not going to be like, really anything is not going to be new into this. It's just, something personal of mine. So this one is actually created by me. The other one was created by the Montessori family. If I believe that, she was a doctor while her great grandmother was a doctor. So today's is a little bit different. I was planning on doing something different, continuing her lesson and stuff that we probably will at some point. But I don't want to make it the whole thing just about, you know, copying others and stuff. And that's not what I'm doing. That's why I'm giving them, the credit for them, of course. So if we shall begin. So today's part is going to be parenting ethics, intent versus impact. We're going to be exploring the good enough standard and power of repair. And of course, it's by me. So, here we're going to look at the trying hard dilemma. So, our question of the day is a trying hard but unsuccessful parent a bad parent? The query highlights the friction between internal effort and external reality. The complexity. Parenting is one of the few human roles where noble intentions do not always graduate to positive, results. Effort is the fuel, but safety is the vehicle. So if you guys haven't seen my other video, this channel is only going to be about we're going to be mostly focusing on ages 0 to 8 years old, but maybe we'll jump in a little bit higher, but that's mostly what this channel's about. And figuring out what we're looking at. So the good enough standard, why perfection is the enemy of development. You may be asking me, why did I come up with this question? Because you mostly see, we mostly talked about toddlers in our other video, but mostly I believe that some parents try their best, and yet the child is not yet that successful as others. Sometimes there's toddlers who take a little bit longer to develop skillfully than other ones, but we're all different. We all learn at a different pace and standard. So D.W. Constant's philosophy: active adaptation, internally meeting every need, thus slowly pulling back to allow the child to encounter reality. So this part is talking about how, usually you want to be there for your child at every step of the way, but slowly you need to back up so that they can face reality. It's like, okay, you may be carrying, you carry your baby, he's already 1, but he needs to start learning to walk. So you need to start, saying no to the pickups so that way he can start walking on its own. Frustration, allowing minor failures that build resilience rather than hovering to prevent all struggle. It's like teaching, 5-year-old how to ride a bike. You want to be there at every, single paddle step, but you got to realize that at some point you need to stop and let them go by themselves, even if they fall. That's the process of riding a bike, right? So, okay, accepting the blunders are inevitable. The key is the ability to reconnect afterward. So, obviously you're going to be able to be there for them after they get hurt a little. You're going to say, are you okay? Give them a band-aid. Try again. You got to keep trying so that, they're not scared. I guess that's also why fear is created. You need to, build up the courage to let one go and do something. The gap, intent versus impact. Impact: the parent's motivation often rooted in love, protection, or a desire for the child's success. The impact is a child's lived experience which may be felt as pressure, unpredictability, or emotional distance. Accountability is the bridge. We might validate the impact even more, even when the intent was pure. So, you want to make sure that, you're being a good parent and stuff, but sometimes it's not all going to be perfect. And this is what parents need to learn, like maybe something's not going to go the way you all want it to go, but at some point, you got to realize that not everything is perfect. You got to take a minute to stop, breathe, and continue, And sometimes we don't mean to intentionally like do something wrong as you guys as parents, but you got to accept the fact that no parent is, ready to be a parent. And that's what we had discussed in the other video. Refining success, shifting from performance to presence. Decoding united outcomes. So here's the action: strict supervision, parent intent, I want you to be safe. Child's impact, I'm not trusted to be independent. And this is where a lot of, like little toddlers are like, well, they start not understanding why other kids can do something, but they can't. It's like, you go to school and you see all these little kids playing outside, but then that strict parent doesn't want the child to be outside without someone to be there just in case they get hurt. So they say no playing outside, but yet they see other kids their age playing outside. So then that's when they start having trust issues. And they're going to start saying, well, I can't, my mom said no, or I can't, my dad said no, or whoever's supervising them, guardianship over that child, they're going to start saying, I can't do it. High expectations is a big one as well. I want you to reach your potential. Parent intent. And then child's impact. I am only valued for my achievements. So a lot of children also do not, you see a kid going home and they have their paper and they have, an F, and then the parents like, no, go to your room, you're grounded, you need to study and stuff. And then you see the other child coming in with an A+ on their paper, and the parent is just like, good job, you deserve an ice cream tonight, or you could do this, and that's where also high expectations start ruining, the child and the parent relationship, which is, I've seen this a lot in like, adulthood as well, but they say that I am only valued for my achievements. And then, here comes in the emotional avoidance. So the parent intent says, I want to keep the peace. And then the child's impact is, my feelings are too much for you. I haven't seen this actually, but I do see where this could go. Because the emotional avoidance is, the kid is crying. Okay, well, and the parent says, shh, you gotta be quiet. But maybe there's something going on with the child that we don't know. I mean, usually what we see is the age under 5 years and under, a child isn't fully developed yet to the point where they can express their feelings just like a baby. The baby can't talk, so what do? They cry to get the attention of a person. And then this is where it comes in where, my feelings are too much for you. So, and I feel like this part right here is more of a thing where you see in children a little bit older than 5 and not under, but still. The web of stability. Stability overcomes outcomes, Research indicates that successful parenting is less about achieving specific life milestones and more about providing consistent, predictable, excuse me, predictable emotion base. A trying parent becomes a good parent when they prioritize the safety of the relationship over the success of the task. So yes, I do very agree with this, because you see a parent and you see them trying, okay, well, they get the label of good parent, okay, but is that how they are at home? We don't know. And then when you see a parent out here in public and you see their child crying and they don't really do anything, that's not supposed to mean they're not supposed to get the label of the bad parent. They're trying at some point too, and the parents also need breaks. So I get where they can come from. So not what I'm trying to say is the other one is that not everyone is going to be labeled by the way they act. Remember, parents are all different. And here we have a quote. This quote is by Donald W. Winnicott, if I pronounce that right. Now that I'm reading that, I think I said his name wrong on the other one, on the other side. The good enough mother starts with an almost complete adaptation in her infant's needs. And as time proceeds, she adapts less and less, according to the infant's growing ability to deal with her failure. Here, I'm not exactly sure what the message is, because again, this is also my first, time seeing this quote and trying to have an understanding of what it means. So, not I'm assuming that right here where it says adapts less and less, I'm pretty sure that's not specifically saying that she's, disattaching from her own child. She's just letting go little by little so that her child can have more independency. Refining metrics. 0% perfection required. Again, no one is perfect. What children actually need. The goal isn't to never fail, it's to remain a safe harbor. Devo- Devotion and presence outweigh optimized results. A parent who tries, fails, and owns it provides a more powerful model than a parent who appears perfect in sorry with emotionally inaccessible. So I guess we're here at this point already, where, okay, if you're not perfect, which no one is, once again, I'm saying this multiple times, but a parent who fails and owns up to their failure part of the life, because we all have failure parts in our lives, right? I have too. Um, it happens, when at some point you might not be the perfect parent to your child. Maybe you accidentally did something to make them cry. That's okay. It happens. We all have, at some point, we all have meltdowns, right? And a parent who tries to act all perfect and stuff and includes your child to be perfect, like those parents, how they expect high standard grades. Again, you see this mostly with teenagers and a little bit older. But again, you expect A's, okay, well, that's standard American thing, you want your child to be successful. But if they have one F or two, try to, make them feel a little bit like more able to, be able to continue and not give up, because, you tell your child, you gotta do better. Well, no, they're not gonna go like that and get better. You need to have them give them more confidence. The journey of emotional repair. So the repair right here. A mistake is made, intent and impact misaligned. Misaligned right here. And then, you go to responsibility. The parent notices a child's hurt or distance. Accountability without making excuses for intent right here. Restoring safety through empathy and listening. It's okay, you got to do that too. And then reliance. The bond grows stronger through repair. The more confidence you give your child, the more support is the big word I should be saying. Support. the more support you give your child, the better. They might actually even do much better in life when you give them support. If you just expect from your child, you won't see that success in them. Like a lot of children grow up without parents, but not intentionally are they gonna be bad people. There's a lot of people who've lost their parents but become successful people. And in fact, I know a lot of those people. So, if you have the opportunity to be with your child that not a lot of people get to do, I'd suggest you do support them. Of course, if you see something bad, then you got to stand up to it and say, hey, buddy, you gotta do this or that. But don't go up to them yelling or screaming. You gotta stay calm and continue. And then, of course, discussion and reflection. This question is for you guys. How can we bridge the gap between our efforts and their impact? So, you guys, here are the image sources. I'm assuming that this was just thrown in here. I guess just so you know, we don't give copyrights or anything. So the image sources are right here. Just in case you guys want to get those photos or something. But I believe that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, choose support instead of, what you're actually doing. Again, parenting ethics, intent versus impact. We went through the intent part and how it impacts your child. You're the intent. What's the impact? So it's like me saying, okay, I want this, this done by 1 hour. And the impact's like, okay, now I'm your maid, But chores, okay, you gotta minimize something up to their age, what they are able to do, and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't want to get up for myself. Here, we got less time on this video, but thank you guys for watching again. What was I gonna say? I haven't been posting a lot, but we're going to be posting very soon during the summer. We're going to post every week as I can. But we do go live on TikTok as well. We do I do like talking about different topics, not just child parenting and stuff, but we'll see what we do next time because on my TikTok about we do go live about religion and all that stuff, but here we're mostly focusing on child development and stuff, which is amazing again. And yeah, if you guys have a great one, stay safe. If you guys have any questions or anything, link them down below and we'll talk soon, guys. Bye, guys. Have a good one.